Hey guys, welcome to my new series. Um, I've been doing a lot of live play videos, as most of you know, and we're going to do something different this time. We're going to call this series Exorcisms with Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro. So, for those of you who've been following my goals thread on 2+2 and stuff, I've been having a rough time of it recently compared to the sun-kissed blessed joy of my earlier career. About 2-3 years ago, everything's just gotten much more swingy. I feel like part of it is because players are better, part of it is variance, and then part of it is who knows. So this is, kind of the idea behind this series. I'm going behind. So as you see here, this was played on September 27th, 2012. This is the Hot 75 that I make a deep run in. And I'm looking back at some of my older hand histories, and I'm trying to see what I'm doing differently today than I did back then. I want to say right off the bat that I think I'm much better at poker and understanding poker than I was in 2012 and 2013. But I think almost not paradoxically, but ironically, whatever word you want to use, um, there might have been things that I did in the past that like were bad, but accidentally in donkements led to actually being good. So I'm developing theories about MTTs and stuff. I think tournaments generally reward like naked kind of blind aggression, and especially this past year, I've been um, experimenting a lot more with limping strategies from the small blind, which isn't necessarily good, considering that a lot of times when you just raise versus someone, you just like win the pot. Um, so I would say the main differences in my game now than back then are I probably defend my big blind a lot more, which isn't necessarily always a good thing. It can lead to variance, and I've been playing certain hands like incorrectly out of the blinds for a long time now. I've been defending just a little too wide out of the blinds, and it's been getting me in trouble. So that's something that I might not have done as much back then. Also, I'm running worse, but that's just like, neither here nor there. That's not really the focus of this video. And so I kind of want to look back at these hand histories that I do very well in and this, kind of look at what I would do today if I was playing and see if, the old me actually had an edge on me now or something. So just some background info about this series. This first tournament is going to be the Hot 75. So we can see here in Turbo 75s overall, I have like good results over a small sample. It's pretty fluky, but then recently, um, you know, since 2014, some of my biggest losses have come from. So this is a list of my biggest losses since the start of 2014, and this top one, the 109 rebuy turbos, they don't really count because of my rebuy strategy. So the losses are more like halved. But you can see here I'm losing a lot in the big 162. I'm losing a lot in 215 freeze outs, which are like, the million warm up stuff like that. I'm losing in 1Ks. I'm losing in 44 turbos. I'm losing in 82 hype. I'm basically losing in everything that I used to win at, which is a bit unfortunate, but it's just how life goes, I guess. And here in this part, we see the Hot 75. So we're going to be looking at the Hot 75 in this episode, and then we're going to be looking at a big 162 in the next episode. But you can see here that I've had a lot of success in my career in both of these tournaments. Definitely running above expectation in both. And recently, I've fallen on tough times. So I want to kind of go back and tap into my old self. So without further ado, without me talking too much, we're just gonna go through everything. This is also gonna be a pretty comprehensive review, as in I'm going to um, use ICMizer and stuff for spots and like analyze spots thoroughly. So man, that word thoroughly, it like pretty much always makes me lisp. It comes out like thoroughly, So anyways, yeah. So I fold here versus 3x. I would probably fold this today too. And I would call versus a 2.5x. We're going to turn off whole cards. A lot of this stuff should be standard. So back then, I guess I was using Table Ninja presets to just raise slightly over minimum. I had a theory, that people fold more if it's, and I still kind of use that theory, but these days I'm just making it 2.5 here or minimum. So just a small little detail, I guess. So here I make it 2/3. I think this is fine. I would bet like 150 nowadays. Maybe check back, but I think betting is fine. I would check this turn as well. So it looks pretty normal. Not much different there. I'm very curious. I don't remember these tournaments at all anymore, so I'm very curious to see like what happens other than me just possibly just running super good. So I'd always check call here today. I'll never do this. I think it's okay if you have reads that someone's kind of aggressive and going to be battling a lot. We don't really know anything about Dr. Octagon except that he seems pretty loosey goosey, and we don't know about his aggression and stuff. I think you should generally always be calling here. I think this turn sizing is okay. Basically, we're trying to get value from flush draws. When he raises like this, I think he has a jack a lot. I wouldn't really ever take this line. I would just check, flop, call. I think he has a decent hand here though, and so I would probably click it back on him. But I call hands counterfeit, and we get pretty fortunate there. Okay, these are all just kind of standard hands. I think 3x is fine. I'll 2.5 a lot as well. Block sick here. Decides to jam. I think he's actually a regular. I think he's actually decent too. I think this play is terrible. This might be one of the reasons I had him marked a fish for a long time. That's obviously not good at all. So pretty lucky there. I mean, I don't want to say anything about the state of the games back then, but I'm pretty sure this wasn't like standard or anything. Both of those plays were pretty monkeyish. Okay, king queen. Just standard defense all around. I would probably fold that today as well. I would try and call here a lot. I would also maybe 3-bet occasionally, but I would probably call here a lot. But I don't think it's like has a huge impact on win rates or anything. Standard. I would pretty much always open this today. I think it's very curious / interesting how I fold here. I would pretty much never fold if I was playing this today. So take that for what it's worth, I guess. I would never c-bet this board today. I would always check back. I think c-betting's like okay or whatever. I think it's a cool bluff. I would probably do it. I'm not sure if I understood exactly what I was doing back in the day, at least, because theoretically is another word that just makes you like really lisp a lot, like theoretically. But yeah. Anyways, I'm sure you guys didn't tune into this video to hear me lisping. Theoretically, this is, I'm gonna win a good bit. I'm gonna win versus 6-7 and 5-6 and club draws. And I'm gonna lose versus like lower pairs and stuff. I think this is a good bluff actually. I think checking back the king, like when I bet river, I rep 10s, kings. I don't really rep 8s, but I rep like enough, I would say, pairs and stuff where this is like an acceptable play. So pretty neato there. I would never defend 3-8 versus anyone here, so I'm just gonna pass it. You can see McNallyville. He's kind of an OG reg, I feel like, but he's playing pretty loose. Okay, I would never fold this hand today unless someone opened. Open 8. So all of this is pretty standard so far. It's not like, I mean, my game has subtle tweaks and stuff, but it's not like, there's insane changes or whatever. I would say most of my differences have come from the blinds. Okay. This guy limps. I don't really have any stats on him. I would generally always limp along here. I would pretty much never fold today. I don't really like ISOing them because if you ISO and they shove, then you're pretty much priced in to call, and it's like half your stack. And a lot of people have like different limping ranges, so a lot of people limp like really strong at these stack depths. So I think it's either a limp along or a fold. I fold, so I get myself in less trouble. But let's see if we would have won this pot. Well, Laradon would have probably barreled us off our hand. So okay, fold there. It's funny how Lee Blem's in the house. This guy's a student and good friend of mine, so it's funny how we were playing together even back then. Mega standard. Cooler. Okay. Blem jams ace queen standard. So for a while I was kind of limping small blinds. Now I would just always shove here. I mean, open here. I think it's the best way to play the hand. I like the sizing. I would always call here. Good. I would always call. Good. And guys just clicking buttons to the max. Okay, I think you can shove or open here. I would generally min raise and I would 3-bet always to like 2500. Okay, so just running super good. I would always fold here. Huh. Okay, we don't really have any reads on this guy. He makes it like 2.2x. I would generally fold here and continue from the big blind. It's pretty much always an open for me. Always a fold. Alright, it's pretty much always open for me, so I would generally open this. 2P seems to be pretty loose with his stack. I would generally always open this hand as well. We see 2P showdown ace king, so yeah, I mean, nothing really greedy or whatever about his play. Alright, I would always call here if folded to, but it wasn't. King 9, I would generally always open today. I would always check flop, I think that's best. I would always check turn. I think checking turn is best. I don't think a bet on a turn really accomplishes too much. I would generally check turn there. I'd always open here. I'd always open here. Clear fold. These are all pretty clear, I would say. I think you can limp here if folded to. You can also open depending on how the big blind plays. Looks like a lot of stats are kind of glitched out or something, like they're not really showing up properly, but it's not a huge deal since I think the tables are breaking pretty quickly. Okay, these are all like really clear folds and stuff. I'll generally fold this a lot if playing today. I'll generally fold this a lot as well. Don't think that's too great of an open. I think this is an okay spot to open, but I'm generally folding. I think this is a pretty good spot to open. I would generally open here. So maybe I've gotten a little more confident these days and just getting myself into more trouble, I guess. I do take this spot. I think this is a pretty good spot to open, other than this guy being really short. Actually, both these guys being really short. But it also depends on if we're like close to the money and stuff. I would always ISO here. Yep. Lose a flip. I would generally open here. Maybe I should wait until the action actually gets to me. I'll generally open here as well, but it just kind of depends on, the stats again aren't showing up. It just kind of depends on how table's been playing. I think all these folds are very defensible. So I mean, yeah, this tournament does have like a really fast structure. So you always end up being like kind of in push fold mode like really quick. Yeah, I would always jam here over Tumpy considering how he's been playing. Yeah, I think min raise is the play here for sure. Clear call. Okay, so we can see how I am successful in this tournament. Clear call. I would always jam here. Yep, looks good. MBN. Think you can jam here. You can also min raise depending on how people play. I think both plays are fine. I think versus people who are more sticky from the blinds, I'm more inclined to min raise to just trap them in with their like worse stuff. This guy rejams me with king 6 off, like pretty clowny play, so pretty terrible. I don't really see that guy around anymore, so hopefully he busted his roll or something. Standard. I would always check back if I was playing today. Yeah, I hate the way I played this hand. Yeah, it's pretty bad. So it makes no real sense to bet flop and then check turn. If you want a pot control turn, you should just start with a pot control flop because you want your opponent to catch up and stuff like that. So got a little unlucky, but it's fine. It's really interesting how I fold here. I would never fold this today. I actually think this one's not even debatable, though I don't even think it's close. I think this is a terrible fold. So, but I have this theory that like, you know, MTTs are kind of about protecting your stack so that you're not forced into more marginal spots. So like I do get myself into a lot more marginal like stack zones because of my wider defenses and stuff. Whereas back in the day, it looks like I was kind of nit folding even like a clear mandatory call like Queen 8 of Hearts. This is really bad. I mean, there's really not much to say about this. This is pretty terrible. There's no way this is plus EV. So, I mean, there is a way it's plus EV because this guy's apparently played like 5 out of 8 hands or something, or like 4 out of 8 hands or something like that. But still, I mean, I think this is like pretty gambly and degen. But this tournament plays so fast, like super turbo, that maybe sometimes you should just be adult. But I don't think so. But I'm just trying to play devil's advocate or whatever. I think it's a clear call. Yep. 5-10's like kind of a marginal shove. But he did get punished for it. So I mean, already I'm running much better in this tournament than I have in any of my Hot 75, runs lately. So something to be said for that. And always jamming here, always jamming here. See what we do. Yeah, clear jam. So all clear folds. I would generally fold here. This is probably goes into the Nash shoving range. You can also raise fold if the opponents are like weak or whatever, but I would generally give up there. Or just not dump it in. Ace queen. So if it's hard for you guys to read the stacks, basically we have about 15 bigs and only 3 other players are playing that stack depth. So I think there's a good art, and because teal only folds 56% of the time to steals, but doesn't 3-bet too much, I don't really think you're inducing from like too much worse here. So I think this should generally just be a shove. And I think it's like close enough where it's not like a huge whatever. I would it's kind of annoying how some of these guys' stats aren't showing up. It's kind of annoying how Sigurd's stats aren't showing up. I think generally this should be a fold though. You can call though if someone's like really wide and stuff. I think it's definitely plus EV. I always shove here. Clear folds. I would shove here as well. I would never do this in today's game. So 1 second. Alright, so I decided to model these two hands. The first one was the one where the guy who played like 50% of hands stuck in like 3.5 big blinds, and I ISO'd King 8 off on the button. This is so bad. So I mean, this, I mean, it's kind of defensible considering it only loses 1,000 chips or whatever. But I would never take this spot in today's game. I think this is a pretty clowny ISO. You could do King 9 off if you really felt like it. Honestly, I would fold King 9 off as well. So, not a huge fan of this at all. A7 off as well. I'm not a huge fan of this either. I think this is pretty bad. It's going to lose 2,000 chips. I mean, you could, again, do Ace 9 off if you really wanted to. I wouldn't. I would go like Ace 10 plus and like, you know, Queen Jack suited seems okay. You know, like maybe King Queen off for sure. But Ace 7 off is just so pretty bad plays here. Also, I hope those graphics showed up properly, because I just realized that they were a little smaller than the window. Anyway, so I mean, I don't even think it's close. Like looking at this, it just gives me hope for a brighter future, because I just think like I'm just obviously, I mean, to me at least, I'm just much better now than I was back then. So is everyone else, which sucks for me, but this is just like bad. And yeah, it's just bad. Just no good. And I rightfully lose the pot as I deserve to. Okay, Ace 4 of hearts. This is always a call, but not an overcall. This is always a shove. Yeah, I mean, I think this spot is fine, especially if you want to like test your luck. Again here, you know, I can go ahead and mark it. This one's a lot more defensible though, but I will be right back. Alright, so I went ahead and modeled it, and it's plus EV. I was also going to say I would call this, actually wait, this is, alright, that hand history glitched up, but here's the actual math. So yeah, I mean, this call is going to net about a small blind versus, you know, legitimate shoving range or whatever. So I think it might actually be impacted by the fact that Epic, yeah, Epic looks like he's in cutoff. So yeah, I mean, I would always call here in today's game as well, and maybe lose today, whereas I won back then. So yeah, I mean, I think it's fine, and plus EV. I would always jam here over a 3-bet like this. I mean, I don't know. I think you can also consider calling, but generally I'm just gonna jam when I've been inducing. I get called by King Queen, which is pretty insane. I think you can raise small or just call like this. And Sigurd's gonna have 10, so we're gonna duck a dangerous situation there. I'm fine with that play. Okay. 10 Jack offsuit. This spot's kind of close. I'm not really sure what stage of the tournament this is. I think this is generally a call as well. Let's go ahead and model it. Alright, so 10 Jack off is going to net about an ante or so, so nothing too big. I mean, a lot of people also kind of freeze up deep in these things, so if you think someone's shoving tighter than they should be, which is, you know, tighter than a range like this, then it's fine to fold for like edge passing or whatever. So I don't really hate this fold too much. I'll generally shove here. But it's a bit wide. I mean, I tend to walk people these days, but someone 18-6 over such a small tournament, I mean, so deep in like a scary tournament, I would generally not walk in that spot. I might even like min raise fold or something. I mean, this might even be the final table actually. I'm not too sure. It might be though. Okay, really standard. Yeah, I mean this definitely might be the final table actually. I always jam this as well. I think this is a clear call, unless, as I suspect, it is the final table. And I'm not gonna model like the payouts or anything and like get all that together. I think generally this should still be a call out of final table though. I'd probably still call. Clear shove. This is kind of the point in the tournament where everything just kind of plays itself. These are all just clear. I would just shove here, avoid any like tough decisions or whatever. Call. I think if I'm making this call, I should probably be calling the king jack as well. Although the ace 8 suit is a much better spot. Well, actually, it's not even much better. It's like close-ish or whatever. Alright, I'll just jam here as well. I mean, by now it's basically just like a terrible final table or whatever. I'm a bit confused. Okay, so then now maybe this is the final table. Okay, so so this might be final 10. So with that said, I would say that king jack is a clear call. The 10 jack is still a fine fold, and then the ace 8 of hearts is a clear fold. I mean clear call. And then I'm gonna assume this is the final table now. So clear fold. I'll generally open here, but I think folding is also more than fine. We're gonna lose a player here. This guy's gonna jam ace 3 off, mega standard. So this is just a really standard hand for both parties. I got to the table with a ton of chips. Yeah, I haven't tasted this many chips in a hot in very long time. So yeah, it's making me a bit wistful. I think there's a bad fold. I would always get this in if I was playing today, so maybe just a little scared or whatever, but I would always shove here. I'm not sure if it's like flawlessly correct or whatever, but I'm pretty sure it is. So yep, who knows what would have happened though. Okay, clear call. No reads on Parrish really. Don't recognize his name. No clue how he's playing, so I think check folding there is okay. There's a clear shove, but not a reshove versus Parrish. I would min raise fold this button. I would never limp here. I've actually stopped limping buttons, so I don't think it's too good of a strategy. Bleeding away a little bit, it looks like. Okay, so yeah, I mean here, technically you're supposed to defend a hand as good as Queen 4 versus a min raise. I know a lot of players who would defend. I also know a lot of players who would not defend here because you don't really want to get yourself into marginal spots versus the chip leader when there's a 4 big blind and 8 big blind stack and you're in second place. So I think folding here is like absolutely fine. I think you have to be a really strong player before you start gunning it. I would just shove here. This is generally, I mean, it's not unexploitable obviously because he can see your hand, but it's definitely plus EV to shove here. He's very hamstrung by ICM. And we're gonna win that pot with a timely double barrel. We got pretty lucky there though to get a board run out that we could double. I think opening here is fine depending on how Parrish has been playing. I don't have any reads on how he's been playing though. I think getting out of the way is generally pretty prudent though. Parrish seems to be playing a big stack correctly, so I would. I don't really know how he's playing. It depends, but I think generally calling here is going to be better than reshoving. But I might have been more fearless back in the day for sure. Okay, Bandito is going to shove here. Also, it looks like we lost. I want to recap all the bust outs. So Polar, as we know, has been open jamming a ton. So he jams 6s and gets looked up by 8s, which is really standard. I mean, it's not really standard. I don't even know if 6s is a mega plus EV shove here. it can't be like the worst, but it can't be like that profitable. It's probably like plus 0.01 if it's plus at all. And it's definitely a spot you can consider skipping. Okay, so we do rejam the ace jack. So I guess parish must have been like really wide for me to just take it confidently, because you're kind of committing ICM suicide here if you bust out, considering how I mean, you have 500k and then everyone else, is like just way less and stuff. So um, it's pretty tough to rejam there. Okay. I'm just trying to find my place again. 5-9 suited, someone shoved ahead. I'm not opening into pair share today or any other day. I'm just folding all of these. Basic idea just being get out of the way and let the short stacks shove into each other. It's a pretty common type of thing, even in like sit and goes and in like MTT sit and goes, like 180 final table or stuff like that. Just kind of get out of the way and just let people, tangle, because they are gonna tangle. Queen 6 here. I wouldn't fold versus parish here. Freeman doesn't shove. I would have called him for sure, of course. Olorionek jams. I think it's a fold. I think it's ICM fold or whatever you want to call it. I think it's a fold for sure. These are all folds. Interesting spot. I think shoving here is probably best. So this is pretty much ICM suicide. I mean, winning here is going to let me break open the table. It's going to give me like a really big, lead and all that. I would pretty much never do this today. I don't think eights here is high up enough in our range at all to consider inducing here. I think this should generally be a clear shove. Um, it's fine to min raise if you think Freeman's gonna 3-bet you non all in, because then you have like a really profitable squeal in Glee Delight as you 4-bet rip. Curious to see what kind of hand he turns up with here, but this is just a spot where he can just pwn you so hard, and you don't have enough here to be able to induce. So I don't like this play at all. I mean, look at Freeman's stack. I mean, the guy has 3 big blinds. I mean, you almost have, I mean, you have more than third and fourth combined, and you also have more than last, second to last, and third to last like combined. So this just can't be too good. And yeah, I mean, we're gonna lose a flip. I mean, we're gonna win a flip. So I mean, it's just a disaster to be flipping there. So I don't know what I was really thinking, but sometimes it's your day and sometimes it's not, I guess. It would have been really sick, and sick as in like bad, not like poker slang, to have to bust out there. Wow, that was a pretty wild hand. Okay, so we lose another player here. Ryan only has 2 big blinds, and he's gonna stick it in with ace 8 and lose king queen standard. Get walked here. I'll jam here. Fold. I think min raising here is probably best. I think you can call here. You can also fold though. It's not a huge deal. And Jack 9 is gonna win versus King Jack. I think these are all folds. Here's a clear fold, ICM fold or whatever. I think there's a clear ISO, especially for the spite possibilities. He had king 9, which isn't a good shove, but you know he could easily be tilting and stuff. I would always jam this button if I was playing today. I think min raising is fine, depending on how you think they're playing. I would min raise this though. I think that's best. I think you can call here with Jack 7. Clear jam. I would min raise here as well. Have the other guy caged up. Good one. I'd always fold. I mean, not always fold. I mean, you can do things if you want, but generally folding seems best. I would always open here. Have my CM caged up. I would always open here. Looks good. Depends on how this guy's been playing. If he's been like pretty, pretty aggressive and open, he seems to be opening a ton of buttons. I don't really have any stats on him though. I think you can rejam here like really happily. Depending on how out of line you think he's getting. I bet old me jammed here. Yeah. I'll jam here, not induce. But sure. I mean, that doesn't really say anything too much about his range. Just probably that I'm a little too I'm exposing too much of my stack there. I think there's a call with queen high getting 1.8 to 1, so I do not like folding here. I mean, I would just jam in these spots rather than Freeman's running insanely good. I would generally tend to jam rather than induce when I have like a monster chip lead on another player. I'll always jam here. Yeah, so I limp here. I think this is really poor. I would always jam here today. I'll get raised. Yeah, I would generally jam here as well. I think min raising is okay. I mean, they seem to be playing pretty weak and letting me get away with quite a ton, but still. I would always open here as well, just because I think he's playing kind of weak. Seem to be getting a ton of walks as well. I would always open here as well. Clear fold. Just clear jam. This is fine. This guy's won like 80 all-ins in a row, so it's pretty absurd. Always jam here. It's good. I think min raising here is fine, but folding is also fine. Yeah, we seem to be getting walked a fair bit. I'd always open here as well. I'd always jam here. I mean, min raising is okay if they're letting you get away with it, but yeah. And this guy's gonna bust out here with so I mean, this is just like how good can you run, I guess. And then it's just gonna be heads up, and I'm pretty sure I play heads up somewhat similarly, but yeah. This guy's really short, and it's just gonna be it. So there's not too much to say about this hand history. I think I'm definitely playing suboptimal in a lot of spots. I think that 8's induce was like really bad. I think the hands I modeled were really bad. I think the queen 8 suited fold from the big blind was really bad. I just think this was pretty poor all around, and the fact that I won 10k in this tournament in one fell swoop, just winning every flip and sucking out over and over. I mean, I guess it gives me hope for the future, so I'm pretty glad I did this one, and I hope you guys enjoy it. I'll answer any questions you guys have down there. Thanks, guys.